I hope you're all having a wonderful and productive week so far. I do have a couple of announcements before I actually get into what I'm doing. First thing, disclaimer, so sorry for my appearance. I did not glam up for this video. I meant to be more prepared and everything for the video, but unfortunately I took a nap that was longer than expected, so I didn't get to do exactly what I wanted to do for the day. It was kind of a lazy day, my bad. So please be nice in the comments or things like that about the way I look. I don't look the greatest today, and I have been feeling kind of off. Anyways, so I do have a couple announcements. The first announcement, well, I only have one announcement, sorry, not a couple. It's an off day. My announcement, I cannot talk today, Jen, get it together, okay. So my only announcement is I have an uploading schedule. I will be uploading mental health related videos every Wednesday and every Saturday by 10 p.m. Eastern time. I had to make it 10 p.m. because I feel like I film later in the day. So, yeah. Anyways, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and just tell you what this video is. I'm going to be talking in detail about my mental health diagnoses, what they mean, how I got them, and my symptoms and how I personally seek out treatment for those things. So I feel like mental illness is something, like I'm sure you've seen in my other two videos, I'm very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about mental illness and the stigma around it, and believing that anyone can really get better if they set their mind to it. So I have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, borderline personality disorder, severe anxiety, and a mild depression, which the depression and the anxiety tie into both of my other two illnesses, but my anxiety is usually pretty severe on its own. So with that being said, I will link down below the sources that I used, as well as my social media and hotline numbers to call if you're in crisis or need someone to talk to. So with that being said, I'm going to talk about PTSD first. So PTSD means post-traumatic stress disorder, and the textbook definition of that is a mental health condition that's triggered by a triggering or terrifying event. So in other words, trauma is typically how you get PTSD, whether you have childhood trauma or you're a veteran or just went through something really hard, bullying. A lot of things can honestly lead to PTSD. I'm going to talk a little bit about my risk factors or the things that caused mine. I'm not going to go into major detail about that in this video because this video is solely for the purpose of just educating on what these illnesses are and what they mean. But my three biggest PTSD causes were childhood neglect, getting burned with hot water as a child, and separation from my older brother when I was little. So those three things I think left me the most traumatized of all the things I've been through in my life. And so PTSD can be really hard because in a way, little everyday things can bring me back to what I had experienced. So my personal symptoms of PTSD that I have nightmares. They're a lot better than they used to be, but as a kid especially, after I got adopted, I had nightmares for years, and they were the kind that would leave me, screaming in the middle of the night, crying in the middle of the night, knocking on my parents' doors most nights, just being really upset and flustered because my nightmares were always horrible. And they had stopped for a while, and then they came back, and they're bad. When I do have them, they're very gory, they're very dark, and they typically involve, in my case, me getting hurt or people that I love getting hurt. So nightmares are a big symptom that I have, and that's my number one symptom I have listed. I'm also easily triggered by things that remind me of my trauma. So when I was bullied in school, that triggered me into thinking that I wasn't good enough, or I didn't deserve good things, and that just kind of brought me back to the mindset that I had when I was really, really little, getting neglected and abused and stuff. My brain would almost revert back to that place. So little things can trigger me and send me down a darker hole, when it comes to my trauma. I do get flashbacks, which kind of fits into being easily triggered. But sometimes I'll just be having a perfectly normal day, and then all of a sudden just feel like I'm right there again at 6 years old, getting burned in the hospital, and feeling that pain and stuff all over again. So I do get occasional flashbacks. I'm also hypervigilant, which basically that means almost like I have a heightened state of anxiety. I'm constantly seeking out danger. I'm constantly like paranoid. I am always on the lookout for something bad that's going to happen because I kind of want to beat whatever it is that is happening. So, and then the last thing is I have severe anxiety associated with my PTSD. I feel like I have a lot of anxiety in general. I have generalized anxiety, then I have like the severe anxiety that associates with my mental illnesses. So I'm a very anxious person. I'm a very nervous person. I am very afraid of rejection, afraid of big crowds, afraid when things are too loud, constantly worried about what's going to happen in the future. So I do have a lot of anxiety. So that's what PTSD means for me. And the last thing about PTSD I want to talk about is treatment. So with PTSD, there are actually a few different treatments that are recommended. The first one is called EDMR therapy. I have personally never done it before, but I've read and seen articles of people who have done it, and basically the way I've seen is they use little trinkets and they get you to re-talk about your trauma, but while like almost distracting you, if that makes sense. I don't know much about it. That's just what I know. Another form of therapy is cognitive behavioral therapy, which can help with like the way you think about yourself and other people around you, as well as I know dialectical behavioral therapy can help with trauma issues as well. Also, there are medications that you can take if your symptoms, especially your physical symptoms, are out of control. You can take different things for nightmares, things for anxiety you can take, but if you're in crisis mode, and I'm going to say this probably like twice in the video, I'm going to link down below crisis resources. If you're in crisis or you're feeling like you're suicidal, go to the nearest emergency room, call a hotline, call a friend, talk to somebody about it, and get yourself some help right then and there. Don't wait. Don't wait till therapy. If you feel like you're at risk of harming yourself or others, please seek out help for that. So the next illness I want to talk about is my borderline personality disorder, which I can honestly go on for hours about this illness, which I'm not going to for the sake of I don't want a super long video, because I do have some big announcements coming up and I'm just emotionally and physically just exhausted, so I don't think y'all want to see me on camera for too much longer, so I'm going to try to keep this as to the point as I possibly can. So the textbook definition of borderline personality disorder is a mental health disorder that impacts the way you think and feel about yourself and others, causing problems functioning in everyday life. It includes self-image issues, difficulty managing emotions and behavior, and a pattern of unstable relationships. And so that's like the Mayo Clinic textbook definition of the illness. So with that being said, I want to talk about my causes of borderline personality disorder and some of the general causes. Sometimes genetics can cause borderline personality disorder. If you have mental health illnesses that run in your family, you can be at risk to get it. In my case, it ties into trauma. My stressful childhood led me to my borderline personality disorder. So my personal symptoms of borderline personality disorder that I experience on a day-to-day basis, I have fear of abandonment. And it can be real or imagined. If I as much as even sense that someone's going to leave, I will freak out. I have major abandonment issues. It is a work in progress every single day to try to get better. I do this thing called splitting, which is almost like a black or white or all or nothing form of thinking. And what that means for me is I can go from idolizing somebody and loving them more than I've loved anyone. Like, I'll have a favorite person. Like, I'll use my brother as an example, because growing up I did this a lot with him, and sometimes I still do. I absolutely love my brother. But we could have a fight, and then all of a sudden my brain will go from loving him and idolizing him to just thinking he's the worst person in the world. He doesn't care. He's just evil and cruel. And it's either all good or all bad. And that's kind of what splitting is for me. And splitting comes in episodes. So someone could make an honest mistake. I'll start splitting and immediately go from loving to hating them. But then they do something right again, and then I love them again. And that's kind of what splitting is for me. Sometimes splitting lasts a couple hours. Sometimes it lasts days or weeks. But episodes of splitting can be really rough because it's that black and white thinking. So another symptom I have is rapid changes in self-identity, meaning I do struggle with knowing who I am as a person and what I want. I'll go from many different jobs. I'll job hop. I used to work at Wendy's, then I worked at McDonald's, then I worked in a nursing home, and then I thought I wanted to be an actress one day, and then the next day I wanted to be a teacher, and then the day after that I wanted to be a hospital worker. Like, it just means who I am as a person is almost like unknown, and I change. I also kind of tend to change according to who I'm around. So, like, I can be around one group of people and be just like them and fit in with them, but then be with completely opposite and almost like change myself to fit in, because I'm one of those people, I don't like to ever feel alone. So rapid changes in self-identity are a very big symptom for me. The next one, impulsive behavior. I tend to be very impulsive. Sometimes that means reckless sex with people, or reckless drinking, reckless spending. It just means I will go out on a whim and not think before I act. I'm getting a lot better about it than I used to be. I used to be horrible about it, and so I'm definitely making progress in terms of, where I've been and where I am now with it, but I still do struggle with being impulsive from time to time. The next one I want to talk about is self-harm behaviors. I want to really open up. Some people self-harm when they're like actively always depressed. I'm one of those people. I'm not depressed all the time. I'm not even depressed half of the time. I'm a pretty upbeat, happy-go-lucky type of person, but when things trigger me or I get upset and I fly off the handle, I will resort to self-harm as a coping mechanism. So for me, self-harm has always been cutting, sometimes suicidal thoughts and behaviors, and like I said, if you're struggling with that, get immediate help, don't wait. Sorry, my itches. Anyways, so yeah, self-harm behaviors is pretty self-explanatory, but self-harm is different for everybody. Another symptom I have is mood swings that can last from a few hours to a few days. I can go and be having a really, really good day and have a fantastic day, and then at night, and this is a common symptom of when my mood likes to change. It likes to change at night particularly. I'm not sure exactly why that is. That's just how, for me, it is. I'll be super happy and have a really great day, but then I will be crying and upset and hysterical and worked up over the smallest little thing, and it would last a few hours to a few days, but then I'm back to being perfectly happy again, like nothing happened. And it's the same thing for anger. I'll be really happy, but then the next minute I'll just be so angry and so irritable, and my mood swings are very intense, because the thing about people with BPD, our mood swings aren't just happy to sad. I mean, we feel things, at least I feel things so intensely. So I don't feel sad, I feel empty. I don't feel angry, I feel infuriated or enraged. I don't feel happy, I feel intense joy. My feelings in particular are very intense. So yeah. My last two symptoms I want to share. And this one I was going to leave out of the video because I felt really embarrassed about it, but then I realized this is the mental health world and I don't see a reason I should be embarrassed about an illness that's not my fault. So I have auditory hallucinations. I don't see things, but when I am under intense amounts of stress, I will hear a voice in my head, and the voice that I hear is a man's voice in particular. I don't recognize him, I just know it as a man's voice, and he is very condescending and very mean, and I think he speaks kind of as my inner critic, because I've always been a very self-loathing, self-despising person, and I'm getting so much better at learning to value myself more, but he speaks out all the things to me that I kind of secretly feel when I'm massively stressed out. So I'll be stressed out and be having a really bad day, and he'll be like, well, you're not good enough, nobody loves you, your family, they're gonna leave you, so when I'm under intense periods of stress, I do experience hallucinations when it comes to hearing, and it's not like, hey y'all, sorry about that, my camera decided to shut off when I was in the middle of talking, so that's always fun, but I'm back now. Hopefully this doesn't happen again. I can't make any promises. I think it's because, my storage space is running out, so it kind of just automatically turns off, which drives me crazy. But anyways, like I was saying, auditory hallucinations and intrusive thoughts are different. I do have intrusive thoughts will randomly come into my head, but the auditory hallucinations are physical. I can physically hear the voice. It's not like a thought I'm having. It's literally a person with me that is talking to me or yelling at me and being hateful. So there is a bit of a difference. Okay, I'm back again. I'm so sorry. I'm having so much technical difficulty tonight. I don't know what is going on. I really need to figure that out though. So The last symptom of my borderline personality disorder is something I do called dissociation. And for me, that basically means almost like zoning out. For example, a recent time that I found myself dissociating was on New Year's Day. I was dissociating. I was playing a game with my younger sisters, and we were playing, I think it was Monopoly or something like that, and I found myself just completely losing touch with reality. I wasn't with it like I usually am, I guess I can say, and I found myself zoning out, and people were talking to me and I just couldn't like hear them, and when I came back I was like, I have no idea what you just said, like I'm not listening, and it's not like me being rude, it's just me genuinely, I think dissociation is a coping strategy. When I feel anxious or unsafe, I tend to do that. It's almost like an out-of-body experience. That's the best way that I can personally word what that means, is an out-of-body experience. Sometimes when you feel unsafe or you're in an unsafe situation, it's almost like your spirit or your conscious like flows out of your body and like you're watching yourself. And that's what dissociation is for me. Sometimes that means zoning out. Sometimes I'll be out walking and then totally forget and just not remember what I was doing. So that's basically dissociation in a nutshell for me. It's just a lot of zoning out. And now I want to get into treatment for borderline personality disorder. So there are different treatments available, some of which I can't afford financially. I can't afford the more expensive treatments, but one of the biggest and like most important forms of treatment for borderline personality disorder is something called DBT therapy, or dialectical behavioral therapy, and that basically teaches you how to regulate your emotions better, how to deal with life when it gets hard, and almost like trying to find a gray area in that black or white or all or nothing thinking, especially because, that's a lot of borderline personality disorder, is a lot of black and white, and it kind of helps you find that middle ground or that gray area in the chaos of the world. So DBT therapy is very effective. There's also something called a partial hospitalization program for people who, are in crisis a lot or need immediate help. Partial hospitalization is different than being inpatient in a hospital. Basically, it's about a 7-hour program, 5 days a week. You'll go into a hospital for 7 hours if you get accepted into the program, and you will do DBT. Hey y'all. I'm going to try to hurry up and make this last clip of the video as fast as I possibly can because I'm having all of these technological issues. My camera keeps shutting off on me when I'm trying to speak. It's not liking me too much right now. I film on my phone, and it probably has to do with storage a lot. There's a lot of storage issues on my phone because I work from home, so I have a lot of data taken up. So I had to clear some space on my phone. But I'm going to start talking more about treatments for borderline personality. So I already mentioned DBT therapy and partial hospitalization program. So those two are the most effective. Another treatment for BPD is medication. And I want to emphasize that there is no magic cure for it. There's no magic pill that is going to make it better. There's no magic pill that's going to make you not borderline anymore. BPD is an illness that is chronic and that I have to live with for the rest of my life. But there are medications that I can take that will help me manage those symptoms. So when they start to get out of hand and I start to struggle, then I am able to seek out the proper care that I need. And anyways, the last treatment method is just self-care. Take care of yourself, treat yourself, and don't go for less than what you deserve because you're mentally ill. So I'm going to link all the resources I use down below in the comments. Be sure to like this video. Like I said, I'm so sorry for all the technical interruptions that we've had. But go ahead and like this video if you found it informative. Comment down any questions you have, concerns you have, just something you want to say to me. Comment below. I'll also be linking my Instagram and Snapchat information below, so you can reach out to me, as well as I will have my email linked as well. So I'm pretty active on social media, so if you ever just need someone to talk to, hit me up. I'll support you and we'll be friends. So anyway, with that being said, I hope you guys found this video very informative. Please be sure to like, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful, next couple days, and I will see you on Saturday. Bye.